There are other customization features that you can work with from Visual Studio 2008. Let's review some of them. Select Tools, Options, and here you can see various options for your environment, project solutions, text editor, database tools, etc. Let's experiment with setting a few of these. Under Environment, go to Auto Recover. By default, auto recovery information is saved every 5 minutes. This means every 5 minutes, your current code will be saved to the hard disk. For those of you that write code quite quickly, 5 minutes may not be safe enough. Let's change that to 2 minutes. This way, when you're writing code quickly, you'll be sure that you're backed up. Another option is to modify startup behavior. Let's go ahead and change that by selecting Startup on the left-hand side. By default, it will show the start page. If you're working with a specific project day in and day out, you may want to choose the option Load Last Loaded Solution. This will save you a little bit of time from having to do this every single time you load the application. Since we're going to be creating a lot of new projects, let's select the New Project dialog box. You can also configure your news channels from this option, what kind of news that you want to have downloaded directly into Visual Studio 2008. Another option you can change is under Project and Solutions. Let's select this node. As you can see, by default, the projects and solutions will be stored under the Documents directory. If you're trying to consolidate all your data files in one directory, it's probably a good idea to change this location to a specific location that either works with your source code configuration database or your backup database. Also, the location of user project templates and item templates can also be configured from this dialog box. We'll leave the settings as default. Select Text Editor. Open this up and select All Languages. A useful feature when you're working with multi-project teams is enabling line numbers. By selecting this, you'll have line numbers that run down the left-hand side of your screen that you can use as an easy reference guide for talking to other team members or debugging an application. Many software developers prefer using the keyboard versus using the mouse. You can actually configure settings for keyboard shortcuts by selecting Environment and going into the keyboard. Here you'll see specific commands relating to the language you're working with. In this case, we're working with C#, but you can also choose other languages as well. You'll see all the commands related to that particular language. You can either scroll down or select Search by typing in Action and narrowing down to a specific set of actions that you work with quite frequently. By selecting one of these, let's say you add dialog boxes quite often, you can navigate to the Press Shortcut Keys button and select a specific shortcut, such as Ctrl-Shift-A, and assign that as a new shortcut key. Visual Studio is also intelligent enough to notice that it's actually being used by another shortcut. You can opt to change the shortcut or go ahead and assign that, overriding the default Add New Item setting that you had earlier. Let's not change anything right now. Another useful setting is the task list. If you're not using an official source code management system, such as Visual Studio Team System, which is excellent at managing bugs, you may find the task list quite useful as a way of tracking tasks, such as to-dos, or anything that needs to be looked at. You can even add your own tokens, for example, bug. By typing in the name bug, you can select the Add button to now add this. So at any point in your comments, should you have the word bug, hack, to-do, you'll see these in your task list. The task list looks very much like the Outlook task list, where you'll see a list of items that you can click on and navigate directly to the piece of code. So if I have a bug in my code, I might insert a line of comment right before it saying bug, and then going ahead and describing the bug in the comment. Then, later, when I work with my task list, I'll see all the bugs of my application, and by clicking on that bug in my task list, I can navigate directly to the piece of code and address the situation. This is a very useful feature of Visual Studio 2008. Another new enhancement to Visual Studio 2008 involves the HTML designer. Scroll down until you see the HTML designer. In previous editions of Visual Studio, you had one designer that showed you the code view and another design surface that showed you the actual design view from where you dragged and dropped your controls. Now, with 2008, you actually have the ability to see a split view. This shows both source and design, so that when I'm making changes to my code, the design will reflect those changes and vice versa. When I drag over a control onto my design surface, I'll immediately see the resulting code. When you launch the project, you can actually choose the split view as the default view to launch. This may take some time if you have a very populated control, so it's not necessarily recommended if you're looking for super fast performance, but it's quite useful if you do want to take advantage of the split view option. Let's go ahead and select Design View for now, but know that this feature does exist, and please use it if you find that you're editing both design and source code at the same time. Select OK to apply your changes.